Alright everybody, welcome back to another video, and today I have here Abdul. Y'all know him as MUQSIT. He got third place today in the Nationals Finals Tournament. How does it feel, man?
It feels amazing. It was a tiring, exhausting 2 days, but it was lots of fun. Played tons of matches, really competitive, really intense. It was crazy. Did not think I'd get this far, but here I am.
And it's crazy, dog, because we play at locals all the time, and just to see one of my boys just get third place is insane.
Yeah.
How was the competition, man? All the big names, Andrew Duvall, Marcus, Peter Catani. How was it, man? How was it?
It was intense. Honestly, I didn't think I could really do as well as I did today, but I guess I believed in my deck and it worked out. I've been playing with TRUNKSGETA since it came out, and it came for me today at Nationals. So it feels amazing, honestly, winning all these amazing prizing.
And how does it feel knowing that out of top 32, you were the only yellow deck? Do you suggest this deck for more people to play it, or is it just a very pilot-heavy deck?
It's a very pilot-heavy deck. It's not something you can easily pick up and play and get third place in, but it is a very rewarding deck if you give it the time and the effort. It's very, very pilot dependent, and there's a lot of small little choices that really make a big difference in this heavily red/blue meta we're in right now.
That's awesome, dude. So happy you did this with a deck you love. Let's get straight into it. So what's up with this leader?
All right, so here we have the Trunks leader from Realm of the Gods. He's very basic on the front side. Swings, you draw one. His main thing is you really want to awaken every turn 2. You just need a Vegeta underneath him. Automatically awakens. You take 6 life. You flip over and draw one. And on the other side, you can play 1-drops from either your drop or even sometimes occasionally from your hand as well if you just don't have anything in the drop but you want the EX Evolve, because whenever you EX Evolve in this deck, you draw an extra card. And then the Activate Battle is intense. It gives double strike and 10k just by giving up the card underneath. So for 0 energy, 0 investment to your energy, you're 25k double strike, which is very good for closing out games or pushing people to 1, and which you'll see is very, very crucial in this deck.
And sometimes you do have to use it defensively, though. Is that kind of like a bad thing, or it feels good sometimes?
It's only good to use in the defense when your opponent is pretty much dumping their entire hand, and you know, like, you just need to just survive this turn, and especially with Z-Decks out now, you can win next turn. That's when it's the only time you really use it on the defense. I rarely ever used it on the defense, but it did come through when I did.
Alright, and that sounds good, man. Hell yeah, that leader sounds pretty good. Now, what does the deck do? What are some of the cards we're running?
Alright, so first we have, we'll go with Vegeta first. This is the guy you put underneath your leader. He plays a 1-drop Trunks. Here you have the 1-drop Trunks. So, very important about these guys is that they search each other out. So you always want to open up with these. You play a 1-drop Vegeta, you'll play the 1-drop Trunks from the deck, vice versa. You just keep swapping them out. You keep thinning your deck out. You just keep playing Trunks as Vegetas. They're 1-drop, they're barrier, so they always stick. It's really hard to get rid of them. And so you always want to open up with this turn 2, just so you can get your guy underneath. If you put him underneath turn 2 when you have 2 energy, you you awaken, and you're already on your curve. And for turn 2, you want one of these guys to open up with, which is the 3-drops. So most of the time you want the Trunks. There are very few times, but there are important times when you want to see this guy in turn 2, especially against Sin. But most of the time you want to open up with this, and this card slows your opponent down immensely. It makes them have to play a completely different game. If you play against this deck, you know that when you're playing this, when this guy's on board, your whole playstyle, your whole turn just slightly changes a bit. You have to do a couple awkward things. You have to maybe waste an energy you don't wanna. You have to play a 1-drop with barrier, without barrier, just to get around this card so you can actually play your threats. This card's insane. So first we'll start with the Trunks. It's a barrier blocker, 19k, which honestly, it's so easy. It doesn't have unique. It's so easy for you to just spam the board with multiple of these guys. First battle card or unison, they play switches to arrest. That's the reason why people have such a hard time playing around this card. And then the other thing is that it switches back to active mode whenever you evolve. So you could have Trunks as your leader, plays them in rest mode, but that doesn't matter when you're evolving that one on that turn. The next one is the Vegeta. Vegeta doesn't have any keyword skills like the Trunks does, but he's 20k base, which is good for applying pressure. And then he KOs guys in rest mode, ignoring barrier, which is huge against decks like Sin, who can give their 8-drop barrier. He also restands just like this, and draws a card. Both of these guys draw a card. So your leader also draws a card. So every time, the first time you evolve a turn, you're drawing 2 cards. So you pretty much want to do this every turn.
That's pretty fire. That's definitely a great engine that has seen a lot of use since the release. And why do you think it is that people stop playing this deck?
People stop playing this deck because they're just the way the deck is now is not the way the deck was before. There's a lot of like changes you have to do to your play style, and I'll show them right now. Like for small little things, like so. First of all, I'm running 4 Bulma here and 2 Vegeta, and I'll actually show you over here as well. 3 of this super combo. So this is a Sparking 5 super combo, really important because a lot of the games I played, I either was rushed down to low life, and I needed something to help me keep alive, help keep me alive. So these are searchable through Bulma. Bulma searches for your Vegetas or Trunks' 3 drops or less. So this is really nice when your opponent's pushing on you, but this is also really nice when your opponent's not pushing at you and you're at 6 life. You can still apply pressure to them because it's Sparking 5. The Bulma, like I said, this is staple because you just need consistency is key with this deck. Sometimes this deck feels bad because you can't find your pieces. She'll help you find your pieces. She'll make this deck as consistent as possible. And then this Vegeta is actually really nice. I'll put him by himself. This Vegeta's a tournament promo, so he's just a 1-drop negate, which is really helpful against decks like Sin. But and also SS4 to keep them on the combo step. But his auto is actually really clutch, especially against decks where they think they can kill you, and then you drop this. So this card says when you combo with it, you restand Trunks. So this guy you can block with him, right? You can combo with this guy, and he'll automatically restand. So your opponent might think, oh, you're tapped out. You have 1 blocker on board. You know they can swing once, and then once at your face for game, you can go block, combo, and then block the other attack, and now you're no longer dead that turn, and you can try to kill them on the crackback.
And that's pretty good too, because you could just swing with the Trunks to apply some pressure.
Yes.
If you have 2 or spare energy up, just negate and restand them for another block on defense.
Yes, 100%. That's also the thing. Your Trunkses can now swing on your turn, so you're allowed to play very aggressively with this deck, especially against some of these red decks. You're just allowed to apply pressure, and then if you can just lean back a bit with this guy and start defending.
That's
now
really
the
good.
MVP of this deck and the best reason to play this deck is this secret rare right here. This is what makes this deck a menace. Honestly, this is what helps me win so many games. So Piccolo Gohan secret rare. It's a super combo, meaning you can. That's why if you saw, I only ran 3 of the Vegeta super combo, because this guy counts as one of your. So he's such a strong secret rare that he counts as a super combo slot. He's 5 energy to play, but his cost is reduced for every card your opponent has rested, which against these red decks, they always have 5 rested, as early as even turn 3 or 4.
And it's not energy restricted either, right?
It's
like
not
no
energy
turn
restricted.
4.
No, you can even play this as early as turn 2 if they really have 5 cards in rest. So what's amazing about this is not only it's 30k combo power, then you can combo out of any attack, it's a 40k body that comes out afterwards, draws a card, rests a card, on play and on swing, and it's not once per turn. So the turn you play him, you're essentially drawing 2 as first super combo, you're getting 30k combo power off, and you're getting a 40k body to swing with. This is incredibly useful against blocker negates or blocker tokens, because sometimes you can even swing with a little 1-drop, combo this guy and they might not block it right away, combo this guy just to get rid of their blocker token, so that you can start winning games with this card. Actually, I want to show you.
It just makes anything lethal at that point.
So the big way to win this game with this deck is with Mira and Champa. These guys are your win con in this deck, essentially for at least against red. Right? Against blue, not so much. They have answers, but against red, this is your best way to win. This is how I won most of my red games. This literally says I don't need cards in my hand. I don't need to combo anything. I just need cards in my drop and in my warp. So if you're comboing a lot on offense and defense, you can easily just dump your entire hand on a double strike leader swing, play this, Champa, that's game. You could have 2 cards in hand and you just won the game. You just took them from 2 to 0. 100k double strike, 150k double strike. You run 2 because these, you want to see these. Like,
you want to see these paired together.
You want to see these paired together. You want to see these. Yeah, it can clunk up your deck a bit running 10ks, but like it doesn't matter if like it's gonna win you the game. You could try to you have other cards to help you survive. It's okay if you see 2 Miras sometimes in a Champa. Like you just need to get those. You just need to get them low enough. And the reason for that is also to make sure this actually works. The strategy. we run 2 of the Swift Retaliation Cooler. Counter for 3. Pretty much stops every single negate in the game, from something like D-Magic all the way to Baby Hotch. It also draws you a card. It draws 2 cards if you have 6 or more in rest. This is really cool with your leader effect that also plays a guy in rest. So it's really easy to get 6 guys. You can easily just draw 2. And once again, if your opponent's at 1 life or maybe 2 and you have the 5 energy, you could literally just go this. That's 5 energy and they're dead. There's very little interaction, especially in a red deck. There's not much interaction. They just pretty much lose to this combo. We run 2, same reason we run 2 Mira, same reason we run 2 Champas. We want to see these. Nice, it's 5k and it's on color though, so you can charge one if you see both. Also, some players will use Broly Crown and they'll rip these guys out of your hand, one of these, and they won't see the other one coming, especially Champa. A lot of people expect 1 Champa, but they don't always expect 2, especially in a yellow deck.
That's really cool.
And the other package we run, this is more so for against Blue and SS4. This is the Slug package we run. Slug is really strong against SS4 because it basically shuts down their abilities to draw. But Slug is also really cool, and just first of all, it's being a 1-drop cantrip, just letting you draw a card. And then its activate main also lets you just tap down blockers if you want to tap the energy for. But 3-drop Slug is really nice at just limiting your opponent's hand size, because a lot of these decks are drawing way too much, even more than TRUNKSGETA, which back in its day used to draw a lot itself. But these decks,
red just goes turbo.
Yeah, red just draws too much sometimes. So this card, especially early on, you can just shut them down with this. They can't draw. They also can't fuse into the 8-drop Gogeta, which is the big reason why you run this guy just for SS4. He is susceptible to a lot of stuff now, especially with Fighter's Ambition. You have Black Smoke. You have the Beerus Z Battle card. But big things to notice is some of these people will get baited because your Trunks 3-drop has Barrier. They'll sometimes use Black Smoke. They'll sometimes use the other guy, get rid of this, and then you could just play Slug later on in the game, or hold out on the Slug. Right, make sure your opponent wastes some resources. When you're at around turn 6, 7 in a slower matchup, especially against Blue, and you're ready to push that turn, then you go into Slug. And then you start saying, I'm going to push this turn, I'm going to do damage, or you're going to waste cards in hand because your super combos aren't going to work, and you're like the Gohan and Goku Unbreakable and the Infernal Villainy Cell cards. Those are really good for comboing out, along with Beerus Destroys. So this will just say no to Blue on its defensive turns.
This whole package is going to get you to that 5 energy turn where you can just safely play the mirror, swing, and you have the energy for the cooler and 1 energy for defense.
Yeah, I mean, when this guy comes out, if they don't answer it, they pretty much lost the game. They have to answer this card.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and then the defensive-wise package is 4 posts along with our extra cards.
Okay. That's a pretty basic package. This fits really well.
So our extra card lineup. So for Robotic Repose, very simple card. It's reduced. It's a 3-drop, but it's reduced for every extra card in your energy and in your drop. So essentially, the idea is to make it a 1-drop just by charging and using extra cards. Once it's played, your opponent's non-unison cards can't swing without resting a card. This is essentially, it doesn't really floodgate your opponent's entire turn, but it's to slow them down a bit. Sometimes it can shut down their entire turn, though, especially in the early game, because this can be used as early as your opponent having 2 energy. So you can use this when you're very early against very aggressive decks like Sin. And then the extra cards we run 3 of this, 2... a lot of 1 of extra cards. This is just for certain scenarios and matchups. So the 3 Frieza Army is very standard. Frieza Army is so good right now, just stopping the attack, stopping potentially 2 attacks, even if it only stops 1 attack. Sometimes against Sin, you can bait them with the Robotic. You'll negate it with Robotic. They might neg the Robotic because you just don't want you to have a body on board, and then your Frieza Army token can actually stay and block 2 attacks. Black Kamehameha is really nice against wide boards. It lets you rest your battle cards, but it's also really nice on the offensive. A lot of people are playing the new Beast Gohan Secret Rare. They'll keep it in rest mode, and Yellow has a problem getting rid of stuff. Especially this deck, at least, has a problem getting rid of stuff, without getting into battle first or doing something, or committing a lot of energy. With this, you can literally just swing lead, use your Double Strike and Realm just to KO the Gohan, and if they plan on untapping energy that turn, it's ruined. Release is really nice as a 1-of. People don't see this coming. This stops every battle card's unison, even leader cards. This is why this card's insane. The only problem in this deck is that I don't run a main deck of unison, so this card is never free, which is why it's only a 1-of in the deck, because you have to tap the energy. This card feels amazing when it's free. But
it's just so good that it's fine.
Yeah, it's so good that we still run 1 against decks like Gamma. It'll punish them. against decks like SS3 Reboot. It'll also punish them for swinging. And then it might help you in certain scenarios. I played against Vegito. It stops their Vegito. Their Z-Leader effects from going off.
Can hurt SS4 from comboing.
Can hurt SS4, stop them from comboing. It's pretty cool, actually, this card. There's a lot of cool interactions you won't notice until you actually run this card. And it'll actually come in handy. It's helpful against the Beerus Z battle card as well. Final Flash is in a very similar boat. Our Final Flash gives you combo power, lets you be aggressive, and ignores barrier, and does it mid-battle. So a really cool thing is your opponent can dump hand. They don't really have to dump their entire hand because people aren't that bad. They might go a little extra, maybe on a double strike crit or a triple strike crit from Sin, and Final Flash will help you. Also with counters, Almighty Resistance, they might think they're safe, especially if you don't have a Trunks blocker, but you have the Final Flash that could help you save you from a double triple strike crit. Power Super Saiyan is a standard one of limited to 1. It's just amazing. It's free. It's a draw 1, rest up battle card. You really want to save this for important scenarios in certain matchups. Other matchups, sometimes this card is really just another extra card for a post. Especially aggro decks, you really just want to, your opponent will play around it 90% of the time because you're playing around this, which is very similar. So sometimes you're literally just going to use this in a bad spot just to have your post alive. Most of the time you want to save this for an opportunity where it's going to survive you the turn or help you push for a game against blockers. And then the last one is Time Magic. Time Magic is actually really nice. It comes through a lot. So it stops dual attackers, triple attackers, and the cool thing is it's sparking 5. So if you're at 6 life, your opponent's stalling you, you can actually use this to go down to 5. Your leader card just has to be yellow. You can negate the attack, and then you lock the card, ignoring barrier in rest mode. Against rush attack is really nice. They get their 1 swing off, they get their 1 combo off. They can't really get the second one. So if they're planning on getting back to 4Z energy and they're planning on playing multiple rush attacks and they can only get to 4Z energy on one, then they really can't go into another without risking a Final Flash or something else to stop them.
And that could even stop the Gohan Secret Rare from standing.
Yes, this can also stop the Gohan Secret Rare. It can stop a lot of cool cards, Time Magic. It can stop like the 2-drop Piccolo from dual attacking really early on in the game. It stops the Cell Z battle card, which is nice. A lot of the players against yellow, they'll leave their battle cards inactive. Their dual attackers inactive, so they'll swing once, leave it inactive for the next turn. Cell Z battle card, they'll swing once, you just negate the crit, so you don't have to take it. You can even take the life if you're trying to get down still. And just keep it locked so that your Vegeta can kill it next turn. Because that's a big thing. You want your opponent's cards to stay in rest mode. That's the only way you're going to be able to kill them consistently.
Alright, that being with the main deck, what's the Z deck look like?
Z deck is pretty standard. So, big one is Vegeta. Vegeta's a staple in every deck. It's just your 1-drop Self-Awakener, take a life, draw a card. Bottom deck one. This card's actually really helpful sometimes. Sometimes your Secret Rares in your life, you just need to take that life just to get that chance to get it. And it pays off. It has paid off for me this weekend as well. Next one is the Goku. This Goku is actually really cool, especially against slower matchups like Blue. The real cool part is it can just lock your opponent's leader from swinging. Can
and you use this a lot, especially Crimson.
Yes, against Crimson, Goku is really nice because they rely on their leader effect to restand their energy. But it's also like a mini
Trunks.
It's like a Trunks, yeah. It's like a 3-drop Trunks, but it's very similar to the Naturon Shenron, I think, from Yellow Sun Shenron, where it just rests the battle card.
And you get to choose.
I get to choose which battle card it is. And I don't have to trigger it the first one like Trunks. I can trigger it whenever I want. I just have to have him in rest mode. He also deflected barrier, so he's going to stick on board unless they have something like a Secret Rare or something really powerful barrier removal. And usually if they have barrier removal, they'll, like Black Smoke, they'll waste it on the Slug, they'll waste it on the Trunks. This guy will come out late game around turn 4 or 5 when you're trying to slow them down even further, just so that you can sculpt your hand, see your pieces. This guy's going to help stall the game.
Nice.
And this guy's the MVP of the deck. Literally won me majority of my matches. It's just it seems very negligent, right? Just a 1-drop 4K, but his effect is insane. It lets you literally copy a battle card's attack power. And this doesn't mean the original attack power. This means any attack power. So that when Mira gains 100K, 50, 80, whatever K it gains, it literally copies that. So this is considered a free damage most of the time when you play this and the swing goes through. Now you're getting 2 free damage. You're basically like you're overwhelming this guy twice with Oolong. It only costs 2 Z energy. It's a 1-drop yellow, energy. It's a little susceptible to counterplays, but that never really came up. The biggest weakness of this guy is the Beerus Destroys. He gets bottom decked very easily. Sometimes you just risk it, right? You just have to go for it. It's a 1-drop, very low risk investment. But this combination itself is very strong. It's going to win you a lot of games. So it's another reason why we run, like I said, 2 Miras, because you're essentially having 2 energy, 2 free damage on an opponent. And even if they negate, if they're tapped out, especially, if they use a Sparking Negate for like Mira, they still wasted a life. And your 3-drop Trunks stops blockers. So
this is basically just 4 100k swingers in a deck.
yeah, you're just running extra 100k swingers. I've played Mira twice in some games too. You'll just go Mira swing, you go Oolong swing, you'll just pass your yellow deck, you can survive. In the next turn, if you really can get the Mira again off, and even the Oolong off, it happens rarely, but it'll pay off.
And this one I'm really curious about. What does this guy do?
This guy is just, honestly, he's just cool looking, and he was played 0 times. There's not a lot of good yellow cards. There are a couple I could have ran probably better. There's a Frieza in the anniversary box, is a 1-drop 15k swinger. This guy's pretty cool. First, he's like a counter to the magenta deck, which I don't think anyone was really playing. But he essentially rewards you for your opponent using Villainous, but also counter skills. So it's not just counter attacks, but it's counter plays as well. I just never really saw a good opportunity to use him. But like I said, there was never a time where I said I wish I had another Z battle card in the deck. These were fine. I never said, oh, I want more than 2 Oolong, more of this, more than 2 of this guy, more than 2 of this guy. This guy would be the first Z battle card to cut if yellow gets a better Z battle card, or if I feel like playing something else.
Probably just for the Frieza, maybe.
Yeah, this is probably for the Frieza, but this guy still, he looks cool, and you never know when he can come through.
Might be clutch.
Yeah,
Alright, what does the side deck look like?
Side deck is a lot of 1-ups first.
Wow, you weren't kidding.
Yeah. A lot of 1-ups. So it's the yellow deck. You're going to draw a lot. You're going to see what you need. In this deck, I almost decked out a couple times. One of the games I lost because I decked out. So you're going to see these 1-ups, or you're going to see some of these are ratio adjustments, especially those two. So we'll start with these two. That third cooler is for blue decks, slower matchups, control decks. You just want the damage to push through. You want the Mirror to push through. You want your leader to push through. You want the Oolong to push through. You go with the cooler, back it up, make sure it happens. And then Vegeta, once again, like I said, is for the defensive scenarios where you want to swing with your Trunks blockers, but you still want to be able to block with them, or you just want to block with them twice. Next is the Trunks Unison. This card is insane. It lets you attack twice, and as long as it stays there, it's attacking twice every turn because it's dual attack. +0 is nice, helps you deal with blockers. -3 is really cool. This deck's essentially its only way of board wiping your opponent. You essentially -3, draw 1, KO everything in rest mode. So most of the time you tap 3 for this guy, you'll do what you have to do, swing, and then you just sack himself off just to clear your opponent's board, and you replace yourself, you draw a card. So it's a lot of value in one single card. It gets around floodgates that say you can't swing with battle cards, cards like Flying Nimbus, cards like the Gohan floodgate from the new set, cards like Robotic Riposte. It just gets around them.
And the play you did on Jared was insane. You wiped a 9-card board.
Yes.
Just with this 3 energy alone?
Yeah, 3 energy investment. It's very strong. Like I said, especially that play, you got to play around. You gotta just rest there. What I did there was I rested his battle cards with the Seeker Rare. That was my initial plan. The idea was once your opponent's established their board or whatever, and if they fall in and trap into your 3-drop Trunks, because sometimes it's inevitable that 3-drop Trunks will trigger, but they don't think you can kill all their battle cards. This can say, because this deck can't struggle with 4 or 5 battle cards in rest. You can't really KO all of them. Your 3-drop Vegeta, it's hard to pull off multiple times in one turn. But this guy can help just kill multiple guys. Because if you notice, we don't run good yellow removal cards like Turles because there's just no need to invest space into Turles right now.
That's valid.
And Final Flash is also another card where it's just another ratio adjustment just for blanking battle card skills. It's really nice also against other opponents' barrier cards, especially if they're in active mode. If they're barrier blockers especially, you could just blank them out. This card's actually really spicy, but it didn't really come up much. So this card says when it's activate battle, if you have a yellow Trunks future in play, which your 3-drop Trunks counts, it has to be a 3-drop actually. So it has to be that 3-drop Trunks, the 1-drop doesn't count. You can free play him from your hand in the middle of a battle, and what he does on play, as long as he's not counterplayed, is he'll warp your opponent's 3-drop or less just for the turn. Now, it doesn't seem that good, but against cards like Z Battle cards, they're not really warped, they're removed from game. So against a Z Battle card, you're essentially removing it for free just by warping him just for the turn. He'll come back, but their Z Battle card can't come back because it's a Z Battle card. Just the ruling of the game.
Very spicy.
So this card's actually really nice against Rush Attack, the Blue Cell. Just didn't really come up in handy because sometimes it's just hard to replace a card with this. There's a lot of other cards you'd rather side sometimes, but if someone did lead on Rush Attack a lot, or if they were leaning on the Z battle cards heavy, then this card I would side in. Games I did side in, I just never saw him, or they really just, it didn't come up. Especially since if you're on the play, it doesn't always feel like you need this card. This deck, especially on the play, just feels really nice and very aggressive. This deck allows you to play very aggressive on the play. And that's what Bergamo's there for. I'm not main decking Bergamo. He's limited, but we still side deck him just because he feels a little rough against some of these red decks on the draw. Usually Broly Crown's a big thing right now, so leaving 2 energy open and just running this guy, leaving 2 energy open and just asking for him to get ripped out of your hand. So this guy's going to help you when you're on the play, when you're trying to push for damage. You just tap them out so they can't use their responses to your Mira or your Oolong. Cards like Dragon Quake can be really annoying, or Dragon Thunder can blank your skills. So this will rest your opponent's energy, make sure they have no response other than by taking a life or using some kind of free negate like Rage Shenron. So this guy's really nice, and he's also a 20k body on board, which is really, really good pressure.
Pretty good.
This guy only ran one of, I probably should have ran more of him. It didn't really matter too much, but it's really nice against decks like Vegito. I never really used it against Sin or anything, just because 2 energy felt a little awkward sometimes. But him against Vegito felt really nice because Sin has other attackers in the deck, but Vegito really didn't. So this guy just stalls you a free turn against Vegito. He's also pretty cool with the -3 effect, but it never really came up. So I just really use him to stall against that. Also stalls against the Gogeta 8-drop. So it's really just for those 2 scenarios. Release from Evil is another one of extra. I never really sided this card in, honestly, just because of, like I said, you have to pay for the energy in this deck. So it's not the best thing, but it does have its weird scenarios. But I feel like, honestly, most of the games I had, Final Flash did the trick, very similar to Release from Evil. I was usually siding out the one in deck for the second Final Flash. So it really depends on the matchup. Okay,
that's right, because it'll do the same thing, except the Final Flash will give you the defense.
Yeah. Gohan, I really, once again, this was a very similar idea to Trunks, where it's like I'm dealing with a deck that I can't push through with just battle cards and leader cards. I need unison cards to swing through, like a Yellow Mirror, which I played one Yellow Mirror, but I don't think this guy came through. You essentially just empower him over the Trunks Unison, or you can even just tap 4 for him, -3. He gains 25 triple attack. Your leader also gets beaten by 5k. So that plus the double strike becomes 30 double strike. This guy, triple attack is insane against certain decks that just don't have answers for unison swings, especially yellow. Like their best card is something like Release from Evil. If they don't have it, or if they're tapped out because they tapped out for Robotic, this will allow you to just deal an immense amount of pressure. It's also a blocker, +1. You can even just tap 1 if you're playing a slower game, just to draw 1 every turn. It's hard to get rid of 20k unison sometimes. So he's really good, especially if you're on the play. Your opponent's going to 3 energy in a slower blue deck, or even like a control deck. You could just play this, like SS3 Reboot. You could just play this sometimes, and it'll just keep gaining markers. But he didn't really come up today because I mainly played red. The next one is the Black Smoke. So this guy is a brand new card. He's insane utility, so he can't attack, but he has 3 whole effects. So first one is to just place up to 3, and if there are 7 or more, you draw 2. That's really nice for slower games, or if you're floodgated out, sometimes you just have nothing better to do. It's like a draw, essentially, just drawing 2. Second effect is really nice too, just gets rid of barrier threats, 7 or less. This is really nice effect. It's very similar. I mean, usually if like there's a card like you just want, like you don't mind spending 2 energy for, because Final Flash will get rid of barrier, but it won't get rid of the card itself. And then this guy will just come and get rid of that barrier threat for you. The third effect is really nice in Trunks, because Trunks doesn't really like unisons, because unisons give decks free counterplays, and then that just stops your whole turn, or not really your whole turn, but like your plays, for essentially free. When you want to tax your opponent in this deck when they try to stop you, you want them to tap their energy out so that you can punish them with cards like Mira and stuff. So when they're using free stuff, you just want to, like, especially like Gamma. Gamma's Floodgate, not Floodgate, the Android 18 blocker is really annoying for this deck because it stops all your weenies. So this guy just getting rid of their 2-drop Android Unison is very helpful.
Alright, that's pretty good.
Next we have the Tyrannical Blow, once again for decks like Gamma that just Floodgate you. You could just say no to their Floodgate 3 or less being blanked. You can also stop the Android 16 ramp if you want. There's a lot of cool utilities. You can even stop the BRZ battle card. It's really nice, this card. It also stops another battle card or unison on board as long as they don't have deflector barrier. That's nice against Majin Buu Unison because they can't block or -1 that turn. So against Gamma, if they just use the Android 14, I think, Android 14 negate, you can Tyrannical Blow that. If they have Majin Buu Unison on board, that also becomes useless, and you're most likely going to push for a lot of damage or just win that turn. Last two cards are also quite Sky. This is just, like I said, when you're pushing, you just want to do damage. This card will help you tell your opponent they can't play cards, they can't negate with the blocker token, so if they're tapped out, you Quite Sky. They're warping 2 from hand and taking a life for a blocker negate, or you're just pushing for the Miras or the leader double strikes. Quite Sky is going to help you. Also stops, like I said, the annoying counterplays as well, like the Android 18 bottom decking counterplay. You could just tax them for that with the warp 2 from hand. It's also a 5k combo. And against certain decks, especially slower decks, sometimes Mira might not come through because there's so many answers to it. So this is a very easy side out for Mira because it's a black card as well. So it's not going to ruin your deck's color, at least, like charging wise. But it's also a 5k combo, so your deck might actually feel a little bit better with 0 5ks and 1 drop 10ks.
That's pretty good, especially being able to fix your hand. If it's a little bit too bricky, that can always help out. But yeah, nonetheless, that was an amazing deck. Definitely very gone through a lot of changes from all like the builds that I've seen you play throughout locals, and it got you to 3rd place, man. Super cool.
Yep.
Very happy for you, brother. Any shout outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, shout outs to my brothers. They got me into this game, and they've been the best training partners since. Shout outs to Team MMG. Shout outs to all the guys at locals, at Brothers Grimm, Collectors Emporium, everyone in New York. They've just been super supportive, super nice. They were all cheering for me on stream. It felt great. It felt surreal, honestly.
Dude, awesome. Congrats, man. Wishing you luck and the best, Nets. Hopefully I could be there with you. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.